Nvidia just cut off millions of gamers with a single driver update. Legacy cards, they're now dead. Meanwhile, AMD's claiming performance wins over Nvidia, but it might not be quite what it seems. Yeah, I have some corrections to make. Nvidia is also slashing GPU supply while secretly powering up their AI empire. Steam's latest survey reveals who's really winning the upgrade race, and somebody turned a 2012 Honda CR-V into a literal Need for Speed controller. No, I'm not kidding. You know the drill. Let's get into it. All right, guys, this guy hacked a 2012 Honda CR-V into a Need for Speed controller. The gas pedal controls the game, steering wheel too. Yeah, it's true. Check it out. This is some next level DIY. This is absolutely nuts. And I love this guy's content. This is Mr. Yeaster. He does a lot of great short form and long form content. This was a short. Now, I hope he makes a long form version of this, and I'll tell you why in a second. Check this out. A gamer turns 2012 Honda CR-V into Need for Speed Underground controller. Laptop reads the throttle input using OBD and a Python library, and even the steering works. A lot of people getting into racing sims now. It's becoming a little bit more accessible. I'm not going to say fully accessible, but the good news is a lot of sim setups range in price now. You can go as crazy as you want. There's $20,000, $30,000 rigs that you can build out there, or you can start relatively budget friendly, if that's even a thing in the sim world. I'm going to get roasted just for saying that. But this, a car? What are we doing? Let's take a look. All right, now the total cost on this, under $50, minus the actual car. So it's cheaper than a half a pedal set and way cooler. Okay, check this out. Let's roll some video on this. I want to show you guys this setup. He did a really great job. This is Mr. Yeaster on YouTube. He makes a lot of great content. So he's got his laptop here, and then you can see the OBD2 port, and he has this cool attachment. So check this out. This is kind of what's making everything happen here, or at least gives you the ability to read what's going on with the vehicle. This is an OBD2 port to USB. It's very interesting. I didn't know something like this existed. It kind of makes sense, I guess, you know, for vehicle diagnostics. I'm sure there's apps or programs that you can run to actually read what's going on, but this takes it to the next level. You've seen elaborate multi-screen sim racing setups. You've seen those 3D printed steering wheel attachments clipped onto gamepad joysticks. You've even seen players attempt precision driving with the binary input of WASD keys in Forza. But what you probably haven't seen until now is a real physical car that's controlling the virtual one that's on your screen. This is Mr. Yeaster. Now, this is a short that he made. He took old Honda hatchback, hacked into the onboard diagnostics, and read the data coming from the sensor. So you're able to read the data. What do you do next in order to make this work? So check this out. So plugs in through USB, and then he ends up using PY serial, which very interesting. This is a Python script, essentially, to my understanding. I'm not a professional in all of this. And he also uses something called auto key. So the gas pedal controls the car in game. The real throttle position is being read from the ECU and sent to his PC. So what he had to do, essentially, my understanding of this is he had to map what that code from the OBD2 port looked like when you hit the throttle. So figuring out what that is and then mapping it to a key, therefore moves the throttle in game. So first you need a Python library called PySerial to read data coming from the car's sensors. Now, once the stream is visible, the next step is to identify the specific PID for the throttle. That allows you to tap into a particular sensor and write a script that converts the analog signal from the car's gas pedal into a digital one on your computer can understand. I hope he does make a long form, because I'm actually pretty interested in this. I think it's kind of a cool use of the OBD2 port instead of just figuring out why your check engine light's on. He didn't share the details on how he achieved this because it's short form, right? I do a lot of short form content and people are always like, you didn't talk about this or you didn't talk about that. I'm like, I've got like 60 seconds. I know YouTube shorts are longer now, but all things being the same, short form is short form. So I do hope that he makes a long form video that talks about, maybe breaks down how he does this a little bit more. I'd certainly be interested in that. I'm sure a lot of you would too. Okay, so he got the script working. Once it's working, throttle data is read in real time. The values are saved to a JSON file. That file is monitored by a separate automation tool. He used hotkey to create a second script that mimics physical key press whenever the values in the file change. So he used a spacebar input for this one. At the end, just open your emulator of choice and configure the control scheme to map spacebar as the throttle input. You can do this in pretty much any modern game. So kind of cool. And this is the kind of content that I love, not because it's practical, because it's not, but because it reminds you that tech can be stupid and fun at the same time. And I kind of want to see like a full racing sim made from junkyard cars now. I mean, who's next on this? Let me know if you try this in the comments down below. Hey, and while you're down there, maybe hit the subscribe button if you like videos like this. Throw a like on it. It helps the channel out. Appreciate it. Oh my goodness, would you look at that? Today's video is sponsored by my company. It's Meta PCs. This is the Nightreaper. It's a ready-to-ship monster powered by the Ryzen 7 9800X3D and the Nvidia RTX 5080. It's got 64 gigs of DDR5 memory at 6,000 megahertz, 2 terabyte NVMe, and a Meta 360 AIO, keeping it ice cold. But the real showstopper is the case. This is not like a vinyl sticker that's just slapped on the side. This is a full custom printed chassis designed in-house, perfectly printed panel to panel. Even the GPU backplate matches. This thing is absolutely insane. It ships the next business day. It comes with lifetime support from our US-based team, and it's built for one thing: to dominate games and crush productivity. Now, building your own PC is a ton of fun, but if you just want to plug and play and just game, treat yourself to a Meta PC. We've got budget builds, high-end beasts like the Nightreaper, and we have financing available. We also offer discounts for our military and first responders. Thank you so much for your service. You can pick up yours right now at metapcs.com. And now back to the news. All right, guys, this one is a little bit of a clarification from a video that I did last week. Now, you'll remember the 9070 XT saw some new drivers come out. People said, wow, these are some great improvements over the launch drivers. Isn't this crazy? Well, there's a lot more that's going into this story. Originally, Hardware Unboxed had kind of released some of those updates and put them out there. There's now some nuance that I want to make sure is put into the air as well, so that we all have a good understanding. I think as things change, it's responsible for me to come on here and kind of talk about those things so we have good context, right? So initially, the story was the 9070 XT had some new drivers come out for the RDNA 4 GPUs. We're seeing some great increases in performance versus the launch day drivers that came out with this card. Well, it turns out there's a little bit more to that, and Hardware Unboxed even came out and added some clarification as well. So with the game tests that happened, you'll remember up to 27% increase in some games from the review day drivers when the card came out versus today. Well, it's not just the drivers that has affected that performance gain. In fact, Hardware Unboxed released a tweet and said basically, hey, there's some videos that are talking about the 9070 XT testing that I did recently. He says, unfortunately, I didn't explain the video as well as I should have, and did suggest that the bulk of gains in at least one instance were as a result of display drivers, when it really could have been any number of things. So check this out. He's comparing the review that he did on day one in the games that he tested versus today. Now, to attribute all of those gains to drivers, it's probably not 100% accurate, right? You have a lot of different things, and he calls this out as well. He says the gains for the 9070 XT and our DNA 4 series in general aren't just a result of newer drivers. They're likely a combination of things such as game updates, platform updates, and perhaps even Windows updates. So a simple driver test where you compare the release driver with the latest driver won't necessarily show the same gains for all games, as other updates have already taken place. So something to keep in mind, especially if you watched my previous video. I just want to give some context there so that there's some understanding and clarification that, hey, just because these new drivers came out, it's not like a massive update from the direct previous release of drivers. They're comparing release day versus today. And then also on a lot of the games tested, there have been a bunch of other updates that have come out, Windows updates, game updates, and other things that contribute to that. But regardless where we sit today, I still think the important point stands that now the 9070 XT can eke out better performance than a 5070 Ti raw. Now, we're not talking about ray tracing and all that good stuff, but I think that's still a significant jump from day one release. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at getting a new card and maybe considering, hey, should I go AMD or Nvidia, because there's also some price savings to be had there as well, while achieving somewhat similar performance to the Nvidia card. So just wanted to clarify that so that you guys know, got to keep you in the loop. Hopefully that's helpful. Just as stock was finally getting stable, Nvidia is now slashing RTX 50 series GPU production by up to 30%. Let's check this out. Nvidia's RTX 50 GPU supply expected to fall by more than 30% at a time when prices have finally started to stabilize. What are we doing? It's AI. AI is the name of the game. If you look at AI for Nvidia, the craziest part of it is they're pulling essentially 3 to 5 times more profit per unit on AI chips versus GeForce. So from a business standpoint, especially, their stock is just going crazy right now. It's no surprise why they're making this business decision, but for gamers, it's not great, right? If you're trying to get a GPU. So we're going to talk about what that means in a second here if you're looking at getting a new GPU, especially on the Nvidia side. So hang with me. It seems like Nvidia is planning to cut the supply of their RTX 50 series GPUs in the coming months, as the firm wants to limit inventory levels to ensure prices don't drop under MSRP. Boy, that would just be terrible, wouldn't it? Hit the like button if you would just be totally upset if prices drop below MSRP. Nvidia to cut down RTX 50 series production to keep inventory levels under control. Well, Team Green's RTX 5000 series SKUs are experiencing what appears to be a roller coaster ride. You could say that again. When it comes to inventory levels since they were released, the markets were reporting shortages and inflated prices everywhere. After months of consumers struggling to get their hands on the RTX 50 series GPUs, it's now being reported Nvidia has plans to cut down on the supply to the retail segment by more than 30%, claiming that the demand is now dropping down and the firm doesn't want the inventory levels to exceed the desired levels. So they're playing a little puppeteering here and moving things around in terms of production. All right, so when did this all start? When did we start saying, hey, we've got too many GPUs, we need to make fewer of them? Well, they started the reduction process last month, and it seems that in July, this very month, the RTX 50 series supply is slated to drop by more than 30%. The reason behind the decision isn't specific for now. However, based on the retail prices of the 50 series GPUs across the board, it's evident Team Green doesn't want models to be available at MSRPs, especially the higher end ones. And given that Nvidia has populated their mid-tier segment with its recent 60 class and 50 series releases, the company might find it sensible to start cutting supply from the top end GPUs. And it's kind of interesting because I have been seeing more posts pop up, photos like this, where there's some fully stocked 5090s in like micro centers, and it depends on where you go. Obviously, this isn't everywhere, but you're starting to see more of them on the shelves, especially high-end cards like the Astral cards. You're starting to see pop up a little bit more. So maybe this is kind of their reasoning behind this for whatever stupid reason. What are they going to do with all that extra production? 30% reduction. Well, you got to be making something. You can't just have people twiddling their thumbs, right? Regarding where the reduced supply would be compensated towards, Nvidia might use it to cater to the demand coming from China for its next-gen GPUs, that 5090D V2. Now, initially, they had reported on the name being the 5090 Double D, which I found hilarious, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't go that direction. But 5090D V2, I guess is what we're calling it over in China, which is said to be the next flagship offering in the region. Moreover, Nvidia is also preparing for a new AI accelerator for China as well. That would be a Blackwell-based GDDR7 solution. So the focus might have been shifted towards this market segment. For gamers, well, it isn't something to rejoice on at all. But Nvidia seen a new opportunity and they're diving right in. Let's break this down in dollars, shall we? Let's talk about money. Gaming GPUs, $2 billion or just under that per quarter for Nvidia. Data center chips, $20 billion. It's a huge profit lever for Nvidia. RTX 50 series stock is already tight, so I would expect volatile pricing, especially on some of these flagship SKUs. If you're eyeing 5070, 5080, whatever, now could be crunch time. I hate being like, go buy it now. I think that's usually a bad idea for people to go rush and buy something, especially if you can't afford it. So obviously keep your budgets in mind and things like that, but it could be crunch time for those cards before all of the production gets shifted over to AI. So this might sound like a boring behind the scenes move, but it does have massive ripple effects, cutting 50 series production by 30%. And they're doing it not necessarily because demand is dropping, it's because AI makes more money. So now gamers get less, prices go up, and the stock becomes unpredictable again. So tell me down below, is this a smart business move or is Nvidia just screwing gamers over? Let me know what you think about this down below. Nvidia just handed devs a full DLSS 4 plugin for Unreal Engine 5.6, but will games actually use it right? Well, let's find out, shall we? Come with me. Nvidia officially releases DLSS 4 plugin for Unreal Engine 5.6. DLSS 4 is merge ready in Unreal Engine 5.6. Devs can toss AI enhanced frame gen with somewhat minimal effort now. Let's see what that means though. Nvidia's latest DLSS 4 technology can now be deployed in Unreal Engine 5 projects. The upscaling technology, which was released alongside the 50 series GPUs, made a significant leap in AI-based rendering, allowing gamers to enhance gaming performance by a drastic margin. While some of its features are exclusive to the RTX 50 series cards, DLSS 4 as a whole can be used on any RTX GPUs, leveraging the power of the new transformer model, which we talked about. And we've already got plenty of game engines that support DLSS, while Unreal Engine 5 already has DLSS 4 support for various versions in the 5.0 series. Versions 5.5 and 5.6 just got their own plugin. Nvidia has rolled out Unreal Engine 5.5 and 5.6 DLSS plugin on the website, which lets developers optimize their games further. Now, Unreal Engine 5.6 was released last month. It's significantly ahead in performance compared to previous versions, brings drastic CPU and GPU performance combined with the transformer model like frame gen, multi-frame gen, ray reconstruction, super resolution. You can now inject those into your games. So that fully unlocks the transformer-based upscaling performance with Unreal Engine 5.6. VRAM savings as well. That's another big thing to look at. 15 to 20%, which were verified in some mid-range RTX 50 series builds. So you'll probably see 5.6 titles like Witcher 4 shipping with plugin support. So we'll see what happens. Some more updates in the world of DLSS 4 and game development. You'd love to see it, don't you? Oh my goodness, Steam's latest hardware survey shows RTX 50 series, it's catching fire, but AMD still nowhere to be seen. Let's take a look. Yep, you read that right. Check out the title of this article. It's the RTX 50 series is now 3.69 of Steam PCs. That's 1 in 27 rigs, and it's led by, guess who? The RTX 5070. Steam's hardware surveys have long stood as a reliable pillar in the tech community for judging GPU adoption. So the Steam hardware survey, for those that opt in, it helps get an idea of what people are running on their systems. Now, you're still not going to see these super high-end cards high on the list. Why? Because budget gamers still rule the platform. I mean, you got the 3060, 4060, the 1650 still maintaining some crazy market share. 3050s even on there, 4060 Ti. We don't get the 50 series until quite a bit down the list, but that doesn't mean that there's no cards out there. In fact, with the 50 series being 3.69, nice percentage of the Steam hardware survey, that's pretty fast adoption. But here's the kicker. AMD's new RDNA 4 cards, they aren't even registering. It's less than 0.15%. You would think that they didn't even launch. We need to adopt more AMD cards out there. The model topping the list from Nvidia, none other than the RTX 5070 with just under 1% share, which I believe is like around 1 million-ish systems out there with the 5070 in it based on the Steam hardware survey. It's pretty good numbers. It's followed up by the RTX 5080 and 5060 lineups, while the flagship RTX 5090 sits at the very bottom because no one can afford it, nor could they find it for quite a while at a measly 0.19% share amongst all GPUs. Another super underrated card, in my opinion, the Arc B series of cards, they're also not registering on this Steam chart as well. And that may also be because of availability. It was a great card, very popular among budget builders and things like that. People that use the Arc cards, for the most part, from what I've seen, seem pretty happy with them. If you've got one, let me know down below. Still not registering though on these Steam charts. All right, so let me know where you guys land. Are you on a 5070, 5060, or did you make the jump to a 5080, 5090? Or are you still rocking the 3060? Most popular desktop GPU, according to the Steam survey. Let me know what you got in your system down below. Nvidia just pulled the plug on the GTX 910 series cards. No more updates, no more support, no more excuses. Let's take a look. Nvidia is ending driver support for the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti and these other GPUs. Man, the 1080 Ti, what a banger card. For 5 years, you were like king of the world if you had one of these. If you're still holding on to your beloved Pascal GTX 10 series card or Maxwell GeForce card, the next driver update will probably be the last one that you get. It's kind of incredible that Nvidia is still offering driver updates for these GPUs all these years later, but it seems like a curtain call is approaching given a new note that was added to the Unix graphics feature deprecation schedule on Nvidia's developer forums. Now, this isn't just a quiet driver update. This is Nvidia officially walking away from millions of users that are still on GTX 1060s, 970s, 1080 Ti's, cards that, let's be honest, they still do run a ton of today's games, and they're saying, you know what, you're done. And so it's kind of huge. Now, these chips had a damn good run. Maxwell, originally introduced with the GeForce GTX 750 and 750 Ti, offered nearly a 2x improvement in energy efficiency for gaming over the previous generation Kepler architecture, despite being on the same fab process. That's the same architecture used in the original Nintendo Switch, and if you need any evidence of its capability, just look at what developers pulled off using the particularly dinky little Maxwell GPU built into the Tegra X1 SoC that powers the Switch. Now, this is something that I've seen people express quite a bit. I'm curious if you share the same view on this. The very cynical might note that Team Green has been struggling to get PC gamers off of its previous gen GPUs and onto RTX, and then remark that this driver deprecation is simply the next step in the process. That's reaching, though. The simple fact of the matter is these GPUs are old now. It's true. They've been out for quite a while, so there's a few different takes that you can have on this. I think both are honestly valid. I mean, now you've even got integrated GPUs that can, outdo a 1060 at this point. So yeah, it's been a while. So for gamers on a 1060 or older, maybe you want to consider upgrading because you'll have no more of those game ready updates coming to your PC. Now, I want to know how many of you are still using a GTX 10 series card. Drop it in the comments because with no more security updates, no more game ready drivers, and eventually no more compatibility, it might finally be time to say goodbye. Let me know if you've got one of these cards down below, and if you had one, what was your favorite? Personally, 1080, that was like my favorite card. I loved that card. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today. Make sure that you hit like and subscribe down below. We just opened the members section of the channel as well. If you subscribe to that, you'll get behind the scenes footage, stuff that I have going on at the Meta PC's office, just daily life here at my house, stuff like that. I'm working on my setup here. I just got a new Asus OLED, and I've been playing around around with that. A lot of fun stuff that we're dropping behind the scenes content. So make sure you sign up to become a member today. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.